It is Friday, October 19th, 2018. It is 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, so you know what time it is. It's time for a little bit of coin metal. And unfortunately, we did not get our asses kicked at Jiu-Jitsu this evening. Some unforeseen automobile issues came up and left me stranded out here in the boondocks, and so unfortunately I had to do home cardio and stuff like that. So yeah, I was playing Mr. Auto Mechanic today and did not get to play Mr. Jiu-Jitsu Dummy. So unfortunately I don't have that part of my day to convey to you guys, and it's unfortunate because I do feel it in my bones that I really should have been at Jiu-Jitsu today. I should have gotten to Jiu-Jitsu today. It's like I don't have a way to Jiu-Jitsu because, as I said, I'm way the fuck out here in the boondocks, and so like none of the people I train with live out anywhere near where I'm at. So it's kind of a big inconvenience to be like, hey dude, you mind driving 30 miles one way so we can drive 40 miles the other way so you can yeah. So it's a big trip, and so yeah, you know, it happens occasionally, but I do miss it when it does. I miss the jiu-jitsu when it does happen. I'll get some more drilling in tonight, and hopefully I'll be helping host the Oregon Open tomorrow. Let's see, what was that? It's Open. Something Oregon Open or something like that. Here it is. Oregon Submission Showdown 3, and that's going to be tomorrow. So yeah, I'm going to help host that, and I'm sure I'll at least get a bunch of warm-up rounds. You know, helping guys warm up for their match and all that other business. So yeah, you know, it'll just be a matter of whether or not I can arrange my ride to be there. Gee willikers, I didn't know it was going to be until 7 p.m., but I mean, I'm more than happy to put in the time for it. But yeah, hopefully that'll be kind of interesting. I'm sure we'll see a lot of sweet jiu-jitsu there. If there's two guys that I'm really looking for, and I don't know their names, and I feel like a jerk for that, but there's these two guys, and aside from everybody that I train with and my relatives who will be in there, aside from all those, there's two gentlemen in particular that I'm watching for, and if they get on the mat, we're going to see some real fucking jiu-jitsu. I mean, every time I've seen these two guys roll, they really bring it. They really bring it, and it's quite exciting to watch. Anyway, let's go ahead and throw down into some music. And as far as our first dance, again, you know, it's one of those things I don't really put a whole lot of thought into to begin with. But this one I'm feeling, because, you know, it's still kind of a drought out there on the markets. People can't figure out where to put the liquidity, but they know it's not safe in the down, and they still need to pay rent. So there's a lot of stalling going around on the market, and so it's really making me feel it today. And so here it is. Good Morning, Black Friday by Megadeth, First Dance, here on Coin Metal. And that was 9 Inch Nails with Mr. Self-Destruct. Every once in a while I like to let the old computer do the decisions as far as what to play, and that's what it came up with. I can't blame it. Love 9 Inch Nails. So, I do have plenty of articles that I do want to talk about today, and the first of which is this one that I just came across, and I'd like to preface this for saying that by saying that I think it's really interesting that this development should be so contentious originally, but now it seems that seeing as somebody's managed to facilitate it They discovered its existence and figured out how to get it to work, and now it's cool. It's like, it was bad before, but now it's cool. I think it's bullshit. Anyway, continuing on, this is on medium.com. Bitmain Antminer S9 ASIC boost capability verified by Brains, 13% in energy savings, and planned BOS support. Now, and I'd like to back that up and just say that if this is the case, right, that they're going to be using the ASIC boost thing, the only people that are going to be benefiting from this are going to be people that are using S9 miners. And the whole controversy has been that, they'd be able to use these devices, and the same number of people that were able to use them with ASIC boost yesterday are going to be able to do it tomorrow. Nothing has changed, but now all of a sudden it's cool for this thing to be in existence and use. So TLDR, we have verified that Antminer S9 is actually capable of supporting overt ASIC boost, potentially allowing miners to save about 13% of energy costs. We are dedicated to enable this in Brains OS and make it available to everyone. About 2 months ago, we have started researching a rather old news about, they really needed to read this thing aloud, about support for ASIC boost in S9 mining hardware. This Reddit thread was a good starting point, and it's a URL there, to find the level of knowledge about this aspect throughout the general public. We'll right-click on that. Unfortunately, most of the comments were lacking a thorough engineering insight into what the real problem is to make it work on mainnet. People were able to find traces of a feature called multi-version support in BM miner sources. Therefore, we have decided to take a deeper look into this. Our findings. The current BM miner code, as published on GitHub, implements a feature called multi-version. What that means is that the miner could theoretically ask the pool via a further undocumented stratum extension, multi-version, for version bits that can be rolled into the Bitcoin block header. This extension is incompatible with BIP 310, however, tries to achieve a similar goal. The problem is that the BM miner software doesn't further instruct the FPGA backend as of which bits the version field could be touched. Nevertheless, we have ignored this little inconsistency in the software and tried forcing the multi-version, setting multi-version to 1, 2, and 4 support in the BM miner to see what it can do. The software would try to enforce MEN, multi-mid-state enable mode, in the mining chips for values 2 and 4. It would also make the proprietary FPGA bit stream to generate jobs for the mining chips with up to 4 mid-states per mining job. Now the catch. The software doesn't communicate to the FPGA which bits are to be modified in the version field of the block header. The FPGA emits mining jobs with up to 4 mid-states for a chip with incorrectly rolled version bits. The version field of the blocks for multi-version set to 4 was thus, and it's giving me a bunch of different block headers. It's 0 times 2000, 0 times 6000, 0 times A, 0, and it's actually 0x2000.000. I didn't want to read it all out. The latter 3 version fields are invalid. Therefore, a miner with enabled multi-state would have 3/4 of its shares rejected by any pool. Currently, the standard that specifies which bits in the version field are available for the version rolling / multi-version feature is specified in BIP 320. Unfortunately, even though the fix seems trivial, The only reasonable way to do it is to implement the FPGA bit stream from scratch. Such a bit stream would generate mid-states from correctly specified first 64 bytes of the Bitcoin block header, including the 4 distinct and BIP 320 compliant version fields. Power consumption. Even with the above setup, we have performed some basic measurements with regards to power consumption, and our results confirmed roughly the following numbers. Mid-states per job 1 is 1460 watts per hour. 2 is 1342 watts per hour. And difference is 118 watts per hour, 8.1%. And then for 4, it's 1269 watts per hour, or 191 watts per hour difference at 13.1%. As we can see, the power consumption is reduced by almost 13.1% when 4 mid-states for each mining job are enabled. We have also verified that the results, even though invalid from the mainnet perspective, are correct from the proof of work perspective. That is, the block header, when double SHA-256 hash, meets the assigned ASIC target. S9 plus AB plus BOS. Brains OS, baseline released a month ago, serves very well as a platform that could accomplish this task of running a new fixed FPGA bitstream. Currently, we have a prototype of FPGA bitstream that can do basic operations with the mining chips and is thus suitable for running the chips in multi-mid-state mode. It is important to note that unlike regular software, it is very difficult, if impossible, to fix anything in the present FPGA bitstream without having the source for it. Therefore, the only way seems to write one from scratch, as stated above. Seems to be, they left out a B in there. If Bitmain fixed this little, quote, problem in the FPGA bitstream, we could immediately integrate the new FPGA bitstream into BOS, making it available to the general public. For the time being, we will keep working on our own open source FPGA bitstream. Ah, there you go. Okay, so it's not necessarily a hardware implementation, it's software, it seems. And they're trying to integrate it, it would seem, into their OS natively. That's quite interesting. So yeah, I think it's kind of interesting then that people would object to it only being available for Antminers. But just the same, I would think that only they would be able to use it if it's got the hardware capability. Wait a minute. So let's see. The ASIC boost is out and supported by Slushpool. Is there a way to put Antminer down? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's basically. It looks like it's going to impact people that are using S9s. To enable blah blah blah. I'm just looking at the some comments here on the r/Bitcoin mining on Reddit. Let's see. There's extensions for ASIC boost on our server, but there's no immediate benefit to majority of users because support of mining hardware manufacturers also needed. Yes, here we go. This is a reply from Slushpool support. Hello, thank you for mining with Slushpool. We've already deployed the extensions for ASIC boost on our servers. However, there's no immediate benefit for majority of users because support from mining hardware manufacturers is also needed. So in other words, you need an S9 in order to use it. We don't know exactly what miner manufacturers will upgrade their miner firmware to support overt ASIC boost, and which one of our supportive. Just reviewing some of the notes. Like I said, it seems like the deal is you need an S9 and you need to be running Brains OS on it in order to be able to use ASIC boost. So yeah, the same number of people that were able to use it yesterday are now able to use it today, except overtly instead of behind the closet or something. Anyway, so yeah, that whole thing sparked all kinds of controversy for a little bit, and it's like, whatever. I mean, why are you? I don't get it. let's see. Anyway, as far as other material we want to cover today, I don't want to cover that one because it's kind of Europe-y for the moment. Oh, this one seemed kind of interesting. It seems nChain is hunting around for patents. And I think it's kind of interesting that they're doing it in Europe, that they're not necessarily seeking patents in the United States. It might be because there's already plenty of overlapping patent claims here in the United States. Sorry, I had to rehydrate there a little bit. Anywho, let's read this thing. Oh, this one is actually kind of old, but I want to follow this one up. Yeah, there we go. And this is on CoinGeek.com. European Patent Office awards nChain its 6th patent. According to a blog post published by the firm, nChain has been awarded a new patent by the European Patent Office. The latest patent, the 6th to be awarded by the EPO, covers a system that uses a trusted device to secure content on another device or computer server. The patent extends the invention covered by nChain's deterministic key generation patent, which was previously approved by the EPO. The patent, entitled, quote, Personal Device Security Using Elliptical Curve Cryptography for Secret Sharing and numbered European Patent System 3257006, details how two personal devices can communicate with each other using securely, that is, using a, quote, common secret, but without requiring that any sensitive private key information be exchanged. Instead, the technique uses digital signatures to create the common secret each time data needs to be exchanged. According to nChain's announcement, quote, for two such devices, say a smartphone and laptop, the common secret, sometimes referred to as Determined Common Secret or DCS, is formed out of the laptop's newly generated private/public key pair and the smartphone's newly generated public-private key pair. This common secret allows an encryption key to be established between the devices. It further states, the next time the devices communicate, a digital signature is required to send information, making it impossible for third parties to imitate either device. The trusted information then allows a new common secret and therefore encryption key to be recalculated for each session, ensuring ongoing security every time data needs to be exchanged. The information required to recalculate the encryption key is thereby solely kept on the security device, here the smartphone. The system provides for increased security of user and business data and doesn't require a PIN or passphrase. The security of a device like a smartphone is sufficient, and the device will store the necessary information. This, says nChain, will allow for greater adoption of the system as it is virtually hassle-free and doesn't require users to memorize additional security controls. Yeah, you just have to trust the device, and I gotta wonder if the device can be spoofed in any way to fool this thing. The enhanced common secret system can ultimately be used in a number of different scenarios. It can be used to keep passwords for sensitive online accounts, for access to data on a particular device, including individual files and folders, cryptocurrency wallets, and more, explains nChain. Using DCS for such purposes would pose a more convenient and more secure method of two-factor authentication for online services such as exchanges or online bank services, as no additional data entry is required from the user and no central server is involved in generating the encryption key. nChain's invention is not limited to usage on the Bitcoin Cash blockchain and can be used in any variety of digital environments. However, its mechanism can be integrated into standard BCH wallets further taking advantage of the strong security of the BCH blockchain. This further shows how BCH's strength can be a valuable foundation for the advancement of any blockchain-based technology. Yeah, I think the idea of quote-unquote blockchains to secure information it's a neat idea, and I don't want to say latency, that's the wrong word. The redundancy, rather, of the security type. It's advantageous for maintaining the integrity of records over a span of competing individuals. You got to wonder what happens though when that competition isn't there. The incentive isn't there to maintain the integrity of your systems, both hardware and software, from an evolving attack sphere. That your attack surfaces stay the same while the rest of the market is adapting new ways to try and attack it. And so this is one of the places where the idea of separating the interests in the blockchain from the process of just processing transactions. When you can add certain things to it on your end, but again, you are taking on the arbiter of trust position. And I think it's something that people tend to forget about cryptocurrencies. But nonetheless, you can't hate on them for trying to patent up some technology. But again, why am I going to use it? Am I going to use it? How am I going to use it? Is it going to be something that's provided to me as a service, or is it going to be something that I'm going to be able to use on an application for free on my computer? It's really the nature of the thing and what kind of constituency it's really meant to serve. I think the idea of segmenting the cryptocurrency sphere according to interest, I think it's kind of stupid, because it makes it easier to lose track of all of the moving parts. And I think it's one of the problems that each one of the groups has, and I won't limit it to one, but it seems like the view becomes myopic, and it really takes the market to reflect its true state of approval or disapproval of a thing before they kind of get the lesson that no, you can't. You can only think so much for the market. You can present the market with options, but you cannot make the market do what you want it to do. It's either going to do what you want it to do, or it's going to refrain from doing what you want it to do. We're talking about I keep imagining like a horse, and you're like trying to corral it. It doesn't want to get corralled. And there's certain environments where it feels more comfortable being slightly more corralled than it is, but it doesn't want to be wearing a fucking halter and being tied down in a fucking cage somewhere. It wants to be able to run free. And I think money is kind of the same thing. That it's essentially information, and it wants to be shared with the parties that want it shared. You have interests, and you express your interests in the way that you spend your money. And there have been a lot of blocks put in the way for you that prevent you from being able to invest in the kind of things that you would like to invest in, and limit your ability to invest in them. The shame is, though, that what ends up happening is it just doesn't get done. If nobody's willing to fund it, it just doesn't get done. It might need to be done. It could be a glaring fucking emergency. But if there's no money being dedicated to it, it might as well just disregard it and walk away. I can see around me all kinds of things that could probably use a few bucks thrown at them, but it doesn't. Maybe I'm not doing enough to expose my interests or something like that, or express my interests. I don't know. I try to do something. It's better than doing nothing. But yeah, it seems like we're getting all kinds of interest trying to jar cryptocurrency in one way or another, trying to push it into one type of meme or semantic. And it really comes down to how you personally experience cryptocurrencies and how you personally think of them. Everybody can suggest to you how to use them, even me, but it is up to you ultimately to decide exactly how. Do I want to be a miner? Do I want to be a merchant service? Do I want to be a merchant? Do I want to make macrame? What is it that you want to do? Anyway, let's go ahead and throw back down into some music. Let that caffeine kick in a little bit. I might need to even refresh on it. I've been dedicating my brain to fixing cars all day long, so it's like bringing my attention back into this kind of thing is tough enough. But I'm sure we can do it. We've already played some of that. We got some of this going on. A little bit of Crowbar. Yeah, that sounds good. Let's do that. Crowbar, December Spawn, here on Coin Metal. And that was Fear Factory with Body Hammer. And yeah, I felt like I went a little bit long on that. Sorry, I had a request for 12-Foot Ninja, and when I get requests for 12-Foot Ninja, I have to play 12-Foot Ninja. That's all there is to it. Anyway, kind of following a theme here. It seems like there's a lot of attempts to standardize this whole crypto space, between hardware manufacturers trying to corral their interests and make the most out of their energy and all that, to this, what I'm looking at right here, Bitcoin.com or news.bitcoin.com. Only 39% pass Malta's cryptocurrency exam for financial services practitioners. This is why licensure is not required in cryptocurrencies, because this is a point that was previously used to stop people from being able to participate in money markets. Is licensure requirements and insurance requirements and all that other bullshit. I'll tell you what, you have to think about how you want to integrate your services to adhere to kind of regulations and whatnot. You have to think about it in terms of what you want to be enforcing on other people. You know what I mean? Anyway, continuing on. And this is by... what the fuck? Give me a goddamn author. There we go. Kevin Holmes. And so, yes, Penis. This was authored approximately 39 minutes ago. And I'm assuming that only because this is when I've loaded it up. The pass rate for the exam developed by the Maltese government for financial services practitioners seeking to obtain cryptocurrency agent certification is reportedly only 39%. The exam is part of the requirements mandated by the country's newly established Virtual Financial Assets Act. And we're going to have to look into that bullshit. As practitioners who wish to act as agents in the field that includes cryptocurrencies and initial coin offerings must successfully complete a short training course and pass an exam. Noting that the first exam took place in September, the Times of Malta reported on Thursday, quote, nearly two-thirds of those applying for the cryptocurrency agent certification failed the official assessment process despite last-second changes intended to boost the pass rate, meaning they dumbed it down and these people still failed it. The exam was set by the Malta Financial Services Authority and administered by the Institute of Financial Services Practitioners. The news outlet quickly quoted sources revealing that about 250 lawyers, accountants, and auditors took the exam, which consisted of a series of multiple-choice questions. Quote, Once the exam papers were graded, it became clear the pass rate was extremely low. The publication conveyed, in adding that, quote, even after the changes, the pass rate was just 39%. License required. According to the MFSA's consultation document for VFA service providers, quote, any person who is providing a VFA services shall within 12 months apply for a license with the competent authority in terms of Article 14 to the Act, the CBS Group described. The MFSA wrote, quote, it has become evident that certain industry players are not sufficiently prepared to register as VFA agents. The regulator therefore proposes a number of additional rules for them to comply. They include increasing the initial and ongoing capital requirements as well as the regulatory fees. In addition, the MFSA proposes, quote, introducing a rigorous competence assessment and, quote, mandatory requirement for continuous professional education. The Times of Malta elaborated, quote, the VFA Act is one of 3 new laws forming part of the government's, quote, blockchain island strategy and which seek to regulate the blockchain and cryptocurrency sector, adding that, quote, it will enter into force in November. Other than trading cryptocurrencies and issuing ICOs, the publication explained, quote, companies looking to provide other virtual financial asset services such as portfolio management or investment advice also need an agent to apply for a license. What do you think of the low pass rate for? I think it's going to stay the same. Here we go. This is by, I'm looking at one of the comments here. This is by Bob Wett. That is good professional practices, standardization procedures for future virtual monies and trading requirements now underway by good governance and other humanly created money-making professional services for both government authorities and public professional practices in VFS now cheers. No, it's not. It's fucking terrible. And I'll tell you why. These licensing and regulatory efforts are meant to do one thing: kick poor people out and keep rich people in. That's it. That's all they're meant for. You know, if you're looking to create a criminal underclass, this is how you create a criminal underclass. You put up a bunch of barriers and shit that don't really do anything for the public, except assure bankers that they're going to be able to stay in control, but don't do anything for us. You know, and I think it's like tone deaf to the message of cryptocurrencies. The fact that they actually exist should tell you something about the way that you're currently regulating monetary markets. They're a big, you fucked up. You know, it's a big sign. You might as well put it in neon. You fucked up. If your people are trying to flee to cryptocurrencies, it is because you fucked up. Leave them alone. If they like anything you do, they will pay for it in cryptocurrencies. If they want you to do anything that you're currently doing, they will pay you to do it with cryptocurrencies. And you know, we've seen the full Monty of how this goes. You know, New York tried this bullshit, and look what happened. About 7-bit licenses have been issued in the last 4 years. Can you kind of grasp that in your dome there? That there were way more than 7 companies doing business in cryptocurrency this year in the state of New York. I can almost guarantee it. That people are utilizing services and techniques and just circumnavigating all of the little borders that have been put in place in front of them. And what's more telling about it in my eyes is that everybody is doing it this way. everybody, not just your next door neighbor's kid. No. It's not just him buying acid on the dark net with cryptocurrencies that's doing the OTC exchanges of cryptocurrency within the state of New York. All they've really done there is create a premium on those services where one previously did not exist. Because now there's the threat of regulatory capture and enforcement actions against you, and so you're going to charge more for your services because you have to keep that shit in mind and be able to pay for a lawyer should you get caught. You know? Again, this is just placing a premium on previously legal and completely frictionless activity. You know, and so this approach, I believe, will have the result that this test is currently indicating to them, that they are going to kick out the vast majority of people that are currently participating in cryptocurrencies, and possibly a more tolerable level than New York has. However, in the longer term, it will simply cancel Malta out of the official market. I can guarantee you, whatever drop you've seen in the activity out of New York or existing in New York, that there has been a reciprocal increase in circumvention. You know, I'm sure some people have simply given up. Some people have moved out of New York, shapeshifted. But I think the bigger response is to continue acting as they had before, and simply ignoring the NYDFS. That seems to be the active practice. Of course, at one point or another, the ire will be drawn of the NYDFS by their connection to the New York Federal, the New York Federal Reserve, and that being the biggest of the Federal Reserve banks in the United States, and so it kind of wields all of that how should I say it, influence. Yeah. So as far as this goes, I think ultimately, like I said, they're going to end up kicking themselves out of the market. There's a lot of that going on. You know, people wanting to get exclusive about services and coins and licensure, and like I said, in the longer term, all they'll end up doing is canceling themselves out of the market. You know, with regard to Malta, I would not be surprised if they just looked at the whole situation and said, you know what, we can't get enough compliant, licensed people into the system fast enough, and we're losing out on millions of dollars worth of commercial activity that was happening here previously, so we better try and make an effort to get that back above board. And so, you know, maybe this licensure really isn't necessary at this point. Maybe the market isn't mature enough for it yet. I think that's what we're going to end up seeing in the not so long term. You know, Malta's been so welcoming to business. Same thing with Isle of Man. They're another one of these jurisdictions that they've got a special thing going on where they can be flexible with the laws, where innovation is taking place. But again, it seems to like these places previously they acted as kind of an incubator, you know, to see what they could seize on and actually make a profit at. And you know, they think they've determined that at this point, and so yeah. Yeah. I see this one article here, and this seems like something that we've been anticipating, or at least I have. And I do anticipate several reciprocal effects from this. But, yeah, let's get into it. This is on Bitcoin.com, and this is authored yesterday by Samuel Hague. So, yes, penis. Trump tariffs to impact Chinese mining hardware manufacturers. The escalating U.S.-China trade war threatens to have an adverse impact on the operations of Chinese mining equipment manufacturers, with imports of mining hardware now facing stateside tariffs of more than 25%. Holy shit. In June, the Office of the United States Trade Representative reclassified Bitmain's Antminer S9 as a, quote, electrical machinery apparatus rather than a data processing machine, subjecting it to a 2.6% tariff. But in late August, the administration of U.S. President Donald Trump followed up on that decision by imposing an additional 25% tariff on Chinese mining hardware, bringing total tariffs on the Antminer S9 to 27.6%. Quote, all manufacturers of mining rigs based in China will likely be affected by the tariff code change and in turn captured by the U.S. trade tariff, said Ben Gagnon, the co-founder of Hong Kong-based mining hardware developer Lutech. IPO prospects of mining manufacturers to be impacted. Analysts believe the new tariffs could have a negative impact on the planned initial public offerings (IPOs) of Chinese manufacturers Canaan Creative and eBang International in Hong Kong. In 2017, 8.5% of Canaan's total revenue originated from international markets, while non-Chinese demand accounted for only 3.8% of eBang's revenue. Bitmain, however, is believed to be the most exposed of Chinese mining hardware manufacturers to the new tariffs. According to its IPO prospectus, approximately 51% of its sales came from outside China in the 2016 and 2017 period. It is also said its financials could be impacted by changes to tax rates driven by, quote, economic and political conditions. However, Mark Lee, senior analyst at Sanford C. Bernstein, said that the company is probably more concerned about rising competition in the mining hardware market. Quote, the U.S. tariff is probably not something on the top of Bitmain management's minds now, Lee argued. Do you think that the new tariffs will have a detrimental impact on the operations of China's leading manufacturers of mining hardware? Share your thoughts in the blah blah blah. Well, let's see here. This is by Horst G. Ludwig. The only thing such, quote, politics achieve is that U.S.-based mining sector is becoming less attractive, new mining projects shut down, and little ones giving up even before starting to mine. Trump is permanently killing domestic market with this and worst actions all the time. U.S. buddies should come over here to Europe and enjoy the connections with Asians, African, European, and South American markets. There is no chance a U.S. manufacturer could compete with Bitmain, and the end of it will be heavy restrictions on cryptos in the U.S. because they are going to destroy it. Just wait and watch. I don't think so. And this is by Trader X. The politics are achieving goals far more important than attacks on a useless energy hog mining operation. Repeated mining adds nothing to innovation anyway. Bullshit. Keep them in China. We're doing fine with almost zero unemployment. Bullshit, dude. You're in fucking fantasy land, dude. Well, I say this, that it's one of those things where it's good thing, bad thing. And it's bad thing immediately, only because it will restrict the U.S. supply of mining hardware, or at least put an additional premium on it. However, I've noted that the relationship that we have with China with regard to the manufacture of computers is completely fucked. Completely fucked. There are manufacturing processes to this day, I'm certain, that require a single unit manufactured, right, to be partially manufactured here, then shipped to China or Korea, partially manufactured there, then shipped all the way back here to America, and partially manufactured here to then be distributed elsewhere, whether or not it's actually sold here in the United States or elsewhere. All of that shipment, it's incentivized by manufacturing offsets, meaning that it's cheaper by the dollar to manufacture in China, right? Well, it's not cheaper to ship it across the ocean. That's how all this manufacturing is happening, is shit's being shipped, right? Well, that takes energy. That adds in the consumption of oil. Now, many people seem to be in la-la land concerning oil. And, of course, it's made possible with all the wonderful derivatives that we have on the market that, kind of distort the actual real value of a barrel of oil. But I'll tell you what, we've been getting by on the last decade on stolen oil. And let me explain how that works. So you disrupt a national government. Then they don't have the infrastructure or the capability to fend you off when you come in and you steal their oil. Either that which is already above ground or that which is drilled out of the ground. And this has been happening for the last decade, that new reserves of stolen oil has been brought onto the market. We had Iraq several times. We had Libya. We have Syria. All of these places have had massive disruptions with their governments. They're all holding massive amounts of oil. There have been social disruptions all throughout South America. Same thing. It liberates oil that is then brought onto the market via the black market and the gray market, because nobody really gives a fuck when it's burning in their gas tank, right? And this has been happening for the last decade, and that's been what's kept oil so cheap, is it's being flooded with illegal oil, or legally procured oil of illegal origin, whatever. It wasn't normal commerce. And that's besides all the manipulation that's going on the pricing end of it. But the thing is that people have been getting wise to this shit, number one. And number two, we're actually running out of places to invade and liberate stolen oil from. So it's a big conundrum, man. Either we have to collapse Syria entirely, collapse Iran entirely, and then everybody else that's sitting on oil, or we have to kind of give up on using oil. And it seems like it's getting too expensive to knock over governments. And so Trump, in what wisdom he does have, by increasing tariffs, he's forcing the manufacturing base to come back to the United States. He's eliminating the production offset that has incentivized the jobs being shipped offshore and the manufacturing happening somewhere else. And this is something that people aren't really thinking about. Because if it's not done now, if we do not start doing it now, what's going to end up happening is whenever the big wall is hit with regard to oil, it's an eventual extinction, or it's just, $300 a barrel to pull the shit out of the ground or something like that. When we're at that point, we're not going to be able to afford to ship it across the fucking ocean back and forth in order to cut the cost. And so what's going to happen? Either A, you're going to do without, which is not tenable in the 21st century, or B, you're going to fucking make it here. Which one is more likely to keep the store shelves full? Make it here. And sure, it means it's going to cost you a little bit more to do it. You might have to actually be conscientious of the environment around you and your manufacturing process, but it will save you greater costs in the long run if you do so. So, it's one of those things where you'll actually have to take all of the costs associated with your manufacturing process into account. You're not going to be able to discard it just because it's happening 8,000 miles away from you. You know, this whole fucking NIMBY attitude, we want our cake and eat it too. You know, we have to have the iPhone fucking 12, but we don't want it made here because that's a toxic manufacturing process. Well, we're no longer able to offset that. Those costs are going to be very real here. And we're either going to A, clean up the manufacturing processes, or B, turn into China, where we just disregard the condition of the rest of the ecology around us and concentrate solely on monetary return. And it seems that is like the tack that some Republican governors are taking, and I think that's a big mistake, because in the longer term, I see this. China, they made the sacrifice, okay? They've already learned the lesson. And that explains to me their sudden interest in renewables. And when I say sudden, I mean within the last 5 to 10 years, they've really been concentrating on developing their renewable resource infrastructure. And I think it's kind of a mistake here in the United States that we've been so slow to do so here. There are 1,000,000,001 surfaces in a city that could be solar panels and sucking up all those electrons that are falling from the sky for free. Come on now. I mean, that's always blown my mind, you know? We live in a capitalist society. You got this thing over your head approximately 12 hours a day that's giving you free fucking electricity that you can utilize to make shit for people and provide services for people and make money for yourself. But no. We have to be completely dependent on oil. Because, you know, there's only so much of it, and we can extort the rest of the fucking planet and get whatever we want if we restrict it to oil. You know, disregard all of the other things that we could have if everybody had all kinds of electricity to put to the use. You know, disregard all that. We can't have the flying cars or any of that other shit. No, we have to stay earthbound with fucking shackle around our ankle, dragging us around, keeping us shitting all over the planet. I think it's just it's a mentality that is very short-sighted, and I think in the longer term will end. You know, I think that the natural forces of capitalism will be taking into account all of these costs and saying, you know, these are actually way more than this maintaining this process actually is worth. So, you know, maybe we need to change it. Anyway, as far as this thing goes, the Malta business that we talked about, that's done. And the mining business, that's done. Yeah, I don't think tariffs are really going to be a long-term impact. And this article also mentioned the fact that there are more mining manufacturers coming online. And this is true. We've seen this, I want to say, over the last 2 years, where we've seen more and more manufacturers considering getting into mining, Samsung being one of them, Intel showing increased interest in the sector. And I mean, I think that this bear market, you know, a lot of people could see it coming, and so I'm sure that they were projecting upon that their expectations for sales and growth. And I'm sure to some extent their expectations have been fulfilled. But you have to wonder if it's the chicken or the egg here. You know, is it the price suppression of cryptocurrencies via manipulation that's causing a decline in interest, and thus a decline in interest in mining? Or is it the market signals received back from the mining manufacturers saying, hey, we're not all that interested in making video cards for mining because we anticipate a drop in sales? And so the market reflects that by not buying video cards this month. So yeah, you gotta wonder if it's the chicken or the egg we're talking about here. Anyway, I do have this this next article, and this is probably the only positive effect of regulation could be to actually catch scammers. and this is the only positive effect of it. I think if left alone, we would catch these scammers on our own, and we would report them for actual crimes, like real crimes that they've already committed. Seems a lot better to me than preemptively kicking people out just because they don't happen to have a physical address or they don't happen to have $500 million. Continuing on. This one's on news.bitcoin.com. BitConnect faces consolidated class action complaint. This is by Samuel Hague approximately 13 hours ago, so yes, penis. More than a dozen lawsuits targeting BitConnect have been merged into a single case following the submission of an amended consolidated class action complaint on Thursday. The newly combined complaint has been filed with the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of Florida. Amendment combines all lawsuits into a single case. The consolidated complaint comprises a class action suit that has been filed on behalf of a range of entities and individuals. All parties in the suit claim to have suffered financially after transferring fiat currencies and cryptocurrencies to BitConnect to invest in BCC tokens, as well as the BitConnect investment programs. According to attorney David Silver of law firm Silver Miller, which has been named the class counsel of the case, the consolidated complaint combines all of the lawsuits that have been filed against BitConnect into one suit. Miller said the new consolidated lawsuit also names BitConnect owners and promoters that were not previously targeted in the initial legal complaints. I think YouTube is on that list too. Quote, as more information has become available, we have learned about more individuals involved in the rampant fraud associated with BitConnect, Silver explained. The amended consolidated class action complaint highlights those actors who participated in the creation of BitConnect and the promoters of BitConnect. The amount of fraud and the amount of investment loss in such a short period of time is staggering. We hope to move the lawsuit along as fast as possible and hold as many people accountable both in the United States and abroad. Plaintiffs accuse YouTube of negligence. The amended lawsuit claims that the BitConnect lending program and the BitConnect staking program were, quote, fraudulent Ponzi/pyramid schemes. It also accuses the company of using multi-level affiliate markets to promote its investment programs. Quote, several of the promoter defendants had partnerships with YouTube pursuant to which the BitConnect defendants disseminated fraudulent and harmful content to unsuspecting victims across the globe. The law firm stated in the amended filing, quote, YouTube was negligent in failing to warn those victims of the harmful content for which YouTube compensated their creators and publishers. In addition, the legal team claimed that the company, quote, cloaked its promotional materials in technological sophistication and jargon to run a deceptively, quote, simple, fraudulent operation. Victims would invest in the BitConnect investment programs after they were drawn to BitConnect as a result of profitable partnerships the promoter defendants had with YouTube, it said. Quote, BitConnect would then pay existing investors with new money from new investors who were in turn expected and incentivized to get more new investors to produce more new money for BitConnect. The plaintiffs seek to recover all of the funds they claim to have lost. In a statement, Miller said such an outcome would be, quote, ideal, although not very likely. Do you agree that YouTube was negligent in compensating BitConnect promoters and failing to warn No, I don't think so. Here we go. Yeah, this is my sentiment on it. I'll tell you right here. And this is by Radact. Idiots! You believe everything you see on YouTube? And if YouTube did put a disclaimer on the video, do you think it would have stopped idiots investing anyway? No. Yeah, I think that that this whole thing is it's all fucking goofy. YouTube doesn't really have any culpability as far as I'm concerned. It's not up to them to regulate your use of fraudulent materials. You know, it's not them actually making the information. So, you know, I mean, if it were, then there would be a point in suing them, but there really isn't. Yeah. Anyway, as far as further regulation goes, I got one more for you, and this one we're going to lay down before any kind of music break here. We've got news.bitcoin.com. Venezuela authorizes 6 exchanges to start selling national cryptocurrency, Petro. Oh my god, I can't wait. This is by Kevin Helms, authored yesterday. No time or date or time zone given. Fuck you, Kevin. But yes, penis. Venezuela has authorized 6 cryptocurrency exchanges to start selling its national cryptocurrency, the Petro, according to the government's website. The Petro, which recently became a Venezuelan national currency, can now be purchased at these 6 exchanges, local media reports. 6 websites authorized to sell Petro. The Venezuelan government has authorized 6 websites it claims are cryptocurrency exchanges to market and sell the Petro, the country's new national currency. Noticiero Digital elaborated. The Petro will be available from this Wednesday, October 17th, at 6 exchanges, although President Maduro announced previously that there would be 16 certified companies that could market the digital currency. The 6 places are Cave Blockchain, claveblockchain.com, BankhairExchange.io, Cryptia, CryptiaExchange.com, AmbraceCoin, AmbraceCoin.com, AFX Trade or AFX.trade, and Cryptolago, Cryptolago.com.ve. Some of them are already advertising the Petro on their websites. In his speech earlier this month, Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro said that the Petro would be available at, quote, the 6 most powerful exchanges in the world. Not true at all. Cryptia's website lists 3 cryptocurrencies for trading against Bitcoin, Ethereum, Dash, and XRP, but with 0 trading volumes. Quote, buy and sell Petros through our platform. The section on its website describing the Petro reads, adding, translated from Spanish, quote, access the cryptocurrency Petro in bolivars and exchange them for Bitcoin, Ethereum, or American dollars. AmbraceCoin describes itself as a cryptocurrency exchange, quote, authorized by the Venezuelan state for the purchase and sale of the Petro, Bitcoin, Ether, and any digital assets that are allowed by the country's regulation. AFX Trade explained that it is a regulated cryptocurrency exchange platform in Venezuela for buying, selling, and safeguarding, quote, digital assets inside and outside the national territory. Maduro's government released a new white paper for the Petro earlier this month, bearing striking resemblance to the white paper for another cryptocurrency, Dash. In addition, the Petro is no longer only backed by oil, as it was first described in December of last year. The new white paper explains that the Petro is now backed by 50% oil, 20% gold, 20% iron, and 10% diamonds. In April, Maduro announced that he had, quote, authorized the certification of 16 exchanges for the Petro, noting that only 6 exchanges have actually been authorized. Noticiero Digital pointed out that AFX Trade was not included in the initial list of 16 exchanges regulating crypto industry in Venezuela. In Venezuela, the National Superintendency of Crypto Assets and Related Activities, SUNACRIP, is responsible for regulating cryptocurrencies and all crypto-related activities. Its website details, quote, exchanges need licenses issued by Venezuelan state in order to operate in Venezuela. Its reason lies in the protection of users of exchanges with regulatory and administrative infrastructure. Digital mining in Venezuela is regulated by the Intendance of Digital Mining, which is part of SUNACRIP. The Intendance of Digital Mining is in charge of planning, coordinating, promoting, and executing all of the digital mining and related activities in Venezuela. SUNACRIP's website describes this includes issuing licenses and certifications for all mining activities. Yeah, whatever. Dude, they were doing it before you fucking came along. They're going to be doing it afterward, and they're not going to bother telling you. Let's see here. The disclaimer, Bitcoin.com does not endorse or support claims made by any parties in this article. None of the information in this article is intended as investment advice, as an offer. Yeah, you know what, dude? People are going to be trading in Venezuela regardless, and I don't think they're going to be buying the fucking boulevard. I mean, the, what do you call it? The Petro. Let's see here. And I got some comments here. The first one is by Tor Jensen. I'm going to buy. The next one is by BitcoinMap.world. So awesome that the first government actually fights against the U.S. imperialism actively. They also declared that they will not make any international trades using the U.S. dollar anymore. Check Russia Today for more news on that topic. Interesting. TS the Deplorable, he forgot to say that it is also backed by the, quote, full faith and credit of the socialist paradise Venezuela. They should be selling their oil rather than a sure-to-fail crypto coin allegedly backed by oil. The next one is by Ronbo710. Coinbase will be all over this. Larry says, the USA asked for this by demanding these countries only trade US dollars for goods. Time will tell, but Trump's wall may become real in a few more years after he pisses the rest of the world off enough to do the same. Other countries will build it for real. And Sammy says, the glorious Petro is here. The next one is by Robert Lefebvre. My apologies. The Petro is now backed by 50% oil, 20% gold, 20% iron, and 10% diamond. I'd like to redeem my Petro and have the oil, gold, iron, and diamond backing it delivered to my home. Rolling on floor laughing LOL. Yes, I am doing the same. You will receive Colombian hitman gunfire instead, and that was by Alexander de Gross. Yeah. I think this will go over fabulously well for just a moment and then crash through the floor, and Maduro will lose all credibility. Whatever credibility he had with cryptocurrency enthusiasts to begin with, honestly. You know, they've actually served as a test bed. I gotta say, they've shown us the entire Monty of the reactions of government to cryptocurrency and the reciprocating action of cryptocurrency users, where initially it was a complete and total ban, and then they decided to go into enforcement and they started busting Bitcoin miners. Only the Bitcoin miners they busted, the cops took the shit home and started mining on their own electricity. And then the miners switched to Ethereum and other shit that they can mine with a desktop and fool the cops. So, I don't expect that to change. You know, it's gone all the way to, we're going to fully regulate this shit and we're going to issue our own ICO. only to watch it crash through the floor. Because we're completely tone deaf to the fact that cryptocurrencies are a response to our failure to properly regulate and maintain the Bolivar. Fucking idiots. Anyway, let's go ahead and throw back down into some music. And somebody had asked for some Sepultura. We had played some Sepultura before, but I think I can give in just because it was a request. And so they gave me a choice as to what to pick, though. And I'm going to go with Subtraction here on Coin Metal. And that was Nevermore with The Final Product. And it does lead us to wonder exactly what the final product of all of these attempts at regulating crypto will be. And of course my program is kind of cheesing out on me at the moment. But, it's okay because we're recording. And, we have the advantage of being able to continue to record even while this bullshit is happening. It's kind of kicking us offline at the moment. Not a problem though. Reconnected. There we go. That's exactly how we roll. Quick, on the fly. That's just how we do it. Let's put some music in the background for the last of this, Anywho, what is the final product intended here? That is what you have to ask, regardless of the coin, regardless of the regulation, regardless of the project. What is the eventual intended goal of this? This is why I quote-unquote FUD Lightning so much. A lot of people think that I'm just talking shit about Lightning to just talk shit about Lightning. No. No, it's because in the longer term, looking down the line there, so to speak, with regard to cryptocurrencies, looking at Lightning, it seems to me that eventually they intend for you to be transacting abstractions layered on top of abstractions, layered on top of yet more abstractions between you and the Bitcoin blockchain and Bitcoin. That you'll be receiving into your wallet sums of something that isn't really Bitcoin. And you'll be transacting it as though it is Bitcoin. And you won't know any different because you're transacting on a semi-private network, and the abstractions that you're circulating are valued in multiple markets at multiple different levels, always to your disadvantage on the public market. And that's just the way I see it. As far as I'm concerned, cryptocurrencies are migration away from abstractions of value, meaning we can put value into cryptocurrencies and there is an actual physical price to be paid for those coins. They're mined into existence. The effort has to be made in order for them to exist to begin with. And so that value in and of itself is enough, as far as I'm concerned. That there's an actual effort involved. Whereas with these abstractions that I'm talking about, such as Liquid, the Liquid sidechain, that doesn't need to be mined. That's not mined on a public network. For all you know, there's 20 billion of them. You're being issued them at a rate to 1 to 5. That each Liquid is worth 1/5 of a Bitcoin, but it's being listed as 1 Bitcoin, and you don't know the difference because they're using bits as their calculator, and you're thinking in Satoshi still. And there's been a lot of effort put into confusing the memes and semantics around cryptocurrencies. Many people that talk about quote-unquote blockchains have no idea what the fuck they're talking about. They have no idea about the difference between a quote-unquote blockchain and a distributed database. They don't understand that it's the result of competition between willing public miners. And so when you leave that kind of information out of your definition of what you're talking about, it's kind of easy to confuse something that doesn't have a mining process associated with its creation for something that does. And this is why the last axiom of Bitcoin, coin metal is always watch out for your own bunghole, because you don't know if it's going to be yours or not under some of the contexts being proposed. So you got to pay attention. And it is with that I want to close this episode out. We will be back again on Wednesday. I know. Typically it would be Monday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, but something else is happening very, very close to me as far as like its normal proximity to occurring near me. And Henry Rollins is coming to Eugene. And so I'm going to be going to see him. You never know. Might get something out of it. I don't know. If I do, I will most certainly bring it back here and share it with you guys. So thank you very, very much for listening. I certainly do appreciate the support. Like I said, we will be back again on Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And so until then, I'd like y'all to trade safe. Do your homework. And watch out for your own bunghole, because nobody else is going to do it for you. And as far as our last dance, that seems like a good enough one. Sublime by Prong. Last Dance here on Coin Metal. Thank you again for listening, and you all have an excellent weekend.